There we go. Now, the big difference between vitamins and minerals and our energy producing nutrients is that they're already in a form that our body can use. With our carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, we know that those are molecules made of building blocks. Like we had our amino acids, we had our simple sugars, etc. And our body has to break those apart in order to reform them into things that our body can then use. These they do not. They're already in a form, so we do not have to break them down. And some of these our body can create for themselves. Now, with our vitamins, most of these we do have to take, excuse me, from an invisible bug. We have to take from an outside source. We do have to have them in our diet in some way, shape, or form. We have two different categories. We have fat-soluble vitamins, which are vitamins A, D, E, and K, a deck. And we have our water-soluble vitamins, which are the B complex and the C. Now, the big difference between these two categories is the method or the ability for our bodies to store them. Water-soluble vitamins we can't store pretty much at all. Our body will use what it needs and it'll get rid of the rest via the urinary system. So if you're super, taking the emergency or the airborne, I don't know if there's another one, those are the only two I know. You're drinking a gallon of orange juice. Well, unless you were deficient to begin with, it's not really doing anything beneficial because your body is only going to use what it needs and then flush out the rest. The big difference is with our fat-soluble vitamins, we can store them to some degree. So we have our adipose tissue, our storage unit. We know that when we put stuff in the storage unit, it gets bigger, sadly, unfortunately. In the storage unit, though, imagine there's like a concrete little room, and it does not get bigger. So when it gets full, it is like the Tupperware cabinet in your house. Every one of us has the Tupperware cabinet. I find that funny that it's a common truth, that all I have to say is Tupperware cabinet and everyone knows what I'm talking about. It's the one where you take the Tupperware and you just throw it in there and then shut the door real quick. And then what happens the next time somebody comes and opens it? It all spills
all over everywhere.
Everywhere. Well, that is like the storage ability for these fat-soluble vitamins. We can put them in, store and store and store. But if we continue to try and put them into the cabinet, eventually they're going to start to spill out. And so what we see is much more likelihood of having a toxic reaction to the fat solubles versus the water solubles. We can store them, which means that we can spill out into the blood, causing a toxic reaction. Here we don't store them. Anything additional just goes out in the urine. And if you've ever taken the airborne or the emergency where you drink a lot of orange juice, your urine changes. It's going to change in color. It's going to turn bright orange, and it's going to smell. It's going to smell like citrus. Hopefully it's because of vitamin C, because one of the funny things, I don't know why I know this, it's one of those bizarre. Do you know that one of the clinical signs of schizophrenia is that you smell citrus when there's nothing citrusy? Yeah, that's one of the clinical signs. One of the clinical signs of schizophrenia is you have phantom citrus smells. I find that fascinating. In fact, was it last week, I went to my office and I guess Miss Melanie had eaten an orange, but she had finished and everything. And I walked past and I was like, oh no. Oh no, I'm looking around for the orange and I didn't see an orange and I'm like, oh no. Doug is finally off the wheel. I was like, Miss Melanie, please tell me that you ate some oranges. And she's like, yes. Oh, thank God. I'm not schizophrenic. Thank goodness. I know. Although they say if you're insane, you don't know you're insane. And so, I don't know. So if you smell oranges where there aren't any, you might want to go get yourself checked. All right, so there's a little bit of fast fact. Our fat-soluble vitamins, again, are A, D, E, and K. And these do require fat. Well, hello, fat-soluble. They also require bile salts. And where bile salts are is in the liver and the gallbladder. The liver is what is going to produce our bile, and then it gets concentrated in the gallbladder, and then it goes out the common bile duct into the small intestines. And so it's these fat clusters and bile salts that are needed to transport. And these fats are transported by passive absorption. Passive meaning we don't have any energy needed. We don't have to utilize energy to transport these vitamins through the wall of the small intestines. They are stored in our fats, and oversupplementation can lead to toxic issues. In veterinary medicine, where we do see this oversupplementation is one of two ways, either nutritionally, meaning that usually the owner is cooking for the pet, and they're not keeping within the balance of the nutrients that they need. Or you have the owner supplementing them with like a daily vitamin supplement. I know, okay. You take, like all of us, any of you that take like a once a day, what is it, a one a day? The little vitamin mineral supplements you can take. So what happens is the owner is like taking their supplement, they're like, oh yeah, this is good for me, oh no, I don't have anything for my tiny fluffy dog. Oh, you know what, he needs some too, I'm gonna give him one of mine. Well, this is formulated for something that is my size. Fluffy is 10 pounds. So, yeah, kind of a problem. So we do see, though, the toxic syndromes. More is not better. And unfortunately, we also live in a society where we believe more is better. The bottle says take 2 Advil. How many do you take?
4.
I take 4, usually on average.
I take 4 too.
You take how many,
I
Eric?
said none. None.
Oh, I thought you said 9.
No, I would be
And
dead.
I was like, oh my God, your
How-
liver is gonna be this big.
Yeah, how am I alive?
I thought you said 9. Yeah, I usually take 4. Why are you shaking your head at me, Stanley?
Just no.
Just no. Yeah, I usually take 4. I just took 4.
Can't you burn your stomach lining doing that?
Nah.
You don't do it often, you're fine.
I always take 4 ibuprofen when I take them. I mean, obviously it's 6 hours apart, but I always take 4.
I do 3.
No, I take them
See,
all
none
at
of us do what the bottle tells us to do.
Because it doesn't work when you do just 2. Especially when you're in your girl time.
once.
only take one.
If you're gonna take more than what the bottle says, definitely do ibuprofen, not Tylenol.
Yeah.
Because Tylenol really will kill your liver. It really
never
will.
took
Tylenol doesn't work. I don't like Tylenol.
I don't trust
It never
Tylenol
works.
either. I take,
Ibuprofen.
the only time I take acetaminophen, which is Tylenol, is when I take some Canadian aspirin. That's Tylenol.
The Tylenol's like for pain. That's
That's the only thing you can take when you're pregnant, and it sucks because it doesn't work.
So Tylenol,
my God.
ibuprofen, which is Advil, acetylsalicylic acid, which is just aspirin. Those are all just non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. So they just take down inflammation. So yeah, the only time I take acetaminophen is there. I have a medication called, we call it Canadian aspirin, because my Canadian friends like kind of mule it down to me, because it's over the counter there, but they're 222s. So it's Tylenol with codeine. And so it's one of the pain medications I take for my osteoarthritis, but it's over the counter in Canada, so.
Right, but with the whole COVID situation, they want you to take Tylenol. And
Yeah.
not
Uh-huh.
Do what? I'm sorry?
Apparently with COVID, they don't want you to take Advil or ibuprofen, they want you to take Tylenol.
Because supposedly ibuprofen makes it worse.
Really?
That's what I
Yeah,
heard.
they say that it masks what you're really feeling, so.
People
Oh.
are drinking bleach. So.
I know.
I know, right?
It's
I was gonna
like
say.
at this point, as long as you're not injecting bleach into your veins,
You're
you're
good.
probably
Okay.
gonna be just fine. So our vitamins A, D, E, and K, just like our other nutrients, we talk about where can we get them, what do they do, what happens if we don't have them, what happens if we have too much. Where can we get them? Vitamin A is fish liver oils, milk, liver, egg yolk. D, liver. A lot of these vitamins are found in the liver because remember, that's where all of our nutrients go and then get dispersed. Egg yolk. Now, I do want to make one clarification here with the sunlight. You're not actively getting vitamin D from the sunlight. What's happening is the nutritional vitamin D that you're taking in is not in a form that you can use. Sunlight helps to convert and transform it into something that our bodies can use. So you're not actually absorbing it from the sun. It is converting what you already had into a form your body can use. And it does have to be full sun. So like at the height of the day, here usually it's about what, 2 o'clock, noon, whatever, when it's highest and most powerful, and just go out and expose your, well, no, don't. I just had this mental image of all these little onyx stripping down in the parking lot.
Oh my god.
Miss Half told us we had to. Mr. Hamilton's just like, what is happening right now? No, just
I
roll
was
your
like, we're
opinions
going
up.
to-
Just absorb some for 5 or 10 minutes and you're good. Vitamin E is wheat germ corn, soybean oils, and then finally K is green leafy vegetables, dark green. Okay, you're not getting anything out of the iceberg lettuce. Dark green like your spinach and your kale. Again, liver and some fish. So liver is pretty great, although disgusting. I would never eat it, ever.
It
Yeah,
looks
no.
gross.
No, hard no. But because it's where the nutrients go to be dispersed, that's why we see a lot of these nutrients in high volumes in the liver. So those are the sources of our fat solubles. Give you guys a minute here, right? Are you guys still doing parasites in Lab Pro?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love it. What parasites are you doing?
And trematode.
You're doing your nematodes.
Cestodes.
Cestodes, which are your tapeworms.
Spaghetti.
Heartworms are your blood parasites. Oh, I love it. Have you started learning all the Latin names?
No. Wait.
Kinda, like along the way, it gives us a lot.
Like hookworm is Ancyclostoma caninum,
Yeah.
Toxocara canis, Toxocara cati, Toxoscaris leonina are your roundworms.
You did mention that you've seen an adult tapeworm?
I think it's pseudo.
Oh, it's pseudo, the pseudo tapeworm.
What about it?
But she said that you were the one that has seen it.
And it's like rare to see one and you saw.
It's a
pseudo heartworm. Oh, is it pseudo?
Yeah, it used to
There I
be
go.
called dipetalonema. I think it's called something else now. What is the pseudo heartworm now called? It doesn't matter. When I was in college, it was dipetalonema recondidum.
How the heck do you remember that?
I just rolls off the
It's like a
tongue.
long, long name.
What is it?
I can't say it.
That's hard to say.
Diphtheria, dibenchana.
Oh, acanthocheilonema.
Yeah, that one.
Acanthocheilonema. Yeah, back when I was in college, it was called dipetalonema.
I can't. No.
Anyway, yes, I have seen one. It was bizarre. It was, this dog had a little growth, a histiocytoma in between his toes. And he was chewing on it, so we decided we'll go in and just take it off. And when we went and took it off, there was this like thing coming out of the area. We're like, what the holy heck is that? And we pulled it out. It was about that long. And it was again, I learned it as dipetalenema. But yeah, it was a false heartworm that had in between the toes. Bizarre.
Crazy.
Water solubles, these are going to be our B complex and our C. Now, our water solubles do need energy to be transported because most of what we are made up of is fat. So water and fat don't mix. We do need energy. They are not stored within the body and they are eliminated by the urinary tract. So again, just have a lot of vitamin C and see what happens. You can't really overdose yourself on it. Now, there are a few of the B complex that we can have some susceptibility to, especially if we're cats, alien cats. But for the most part, you can't overdose yourself. We've all tried. We have. I mean, my goodness. Emergency, it says take like 1 packet every 6 hours. No, you take 1 packet every 2 hours. Yeah. It didn't do anything except make your pee smell good. But because we don't store them and we're frequently losing them, it also means we have to take them in much more frequently. We have to replenish much more frequently. And so we're much more likely to see deficiencies than toxic effects. So those are our water solubles. Yes.
I'm sorry, as far as vitamin C in dogs, like you're saying, there can't be too much, so they're gonna be okay. The reason my dog steals my oranges off my tree and she eats them, it's not gonna hurt her, right?
No.
Okay, because she really like all the oranges.
I mean, it's not gonna give her a toxic reaction. Sometimes the acidity can cause ulcers in the mouth. Sometimes it can cause some intestinal upset. But as far as the vitamin C, yeah. The thing is about vitamin C in our dogs and cats is they create that for themselves. They actually don't need that in their diet. The process of their liver converting to glucose, one of the byproducts of that in the cats and dogs is vitamin C. So they don't need it in their diets. Eating an orange here and there, no, it's not gonna hurt them. I would try and refrain, prevent him from doing it, but
We try.
what are you gonna do? But yeah, they don't need it in the diet because they are able to synthesize it for themselves. Us, we cannot. So we have to take it in our diet. And if we are deficient in vitamin C, it causes a condition called scurvy. And it's really disgusting. Your teeth fall out, your fingernails pop off, and you develop these giant weeping ulcers in between your fingers, in between your toes. Yeah, so when you're a pirate, you're like, scurvy. That's what there was no fresh fruit on the boat, and so they developed scurvy, and all their teeth would fall out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gross. That's why they would never want to be a pirate.
Well, that's not the only reason.
Well, no, there are many other reasons why I would not want to be a pirate. All right, so our B complex, this is a list of all of the vitamins and vitamin-like substances that are under the heading B complex. We've got thiamine, riboflavin, niacin, which is one that we can have our felines be a little bit sensitive to. Pyridoxine, pantothenic, biotin, that's another one you may have heard of. It's in a lot of beauty products. Folic acid, if you have ever had a baby. Folic acid is imperative for growth and development of the fetus. Cobalamin and choline. And then I got a picture of a lioness. She has nothing to do with any of this information. I just thought she was pretty. Something to look at. I know you're all looking like, why is there a lion? What does that have to do with anything? It doesn't. It does not. It just, I thought she was pretty. So we are going to talk about each of these what do they do, and what happens if we don't have them. For the most part, our vitamin B complex, their primary role is to help us utilize energy producing nutrients. Remember, these are non-energy producing nutrients. They do not actively produce energy. But what we do need them for is to help us metabolize and utilize the energy producing nutrients. So without these, even if I'm taking in the proteins, fats, and carbs, without these, I can't use them. So remember, house of cards, house of cards. So a lot of the functions we're going to see with these B complex are going to be energy production, but they are not actively producing energy. They are helping our bodies use the energy producing nutrients. Does that make sense to everybody? Good. Give you guys a minute. Maybe later or tomorrow I'll bring in, I have a big tapeworm in my office.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's super, it's all in a little jar, but it's probably about this long. And you can see all of the proglottids, which are the little segments. You guys gotten into that proglottid?
Like rice?
Do what?
It looks like rice.
Yeah, except that they're all together. This is a full tapeworm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're not just the segments. Because what happens is the tapeworm, as you know, is hermaphroditic. It has both male and female sex characteristics. So it asexually reproduces. And then as the segment matures, it moves further and further down towards the tail until it's shed, and that segment is filled with baskets of eggs, the egg basket. So there could be 1,000 eggs in a single segment. I know, disgusting. And here's a little fun fact about them. So they will dry out, right? The dog poops them out into the environment, and they do look like little hard, dry pieces of rice. But you can pour water on them and they will reanimate. They'll rehydrate and they'll start moving around. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
That's cool.
I know, pretty awesome. But yeah, I have one, so I'll show it to you later. All right, let's talk about each of these B complex. Now, what I have done on this B complex, just like I did with the other PowerPoints, I've highlighted what is testable. A lot of these B complex, they have a corresponding B number to the name. And so on the test over vitamins, I may ask some questions that refer to the name, or I might ask some questions that refer to the B number. So you're going to need to know what B number is assigned to what vitamin. Thiamine is B1. And what it is used for, as we know, it's water soluble. It is not stored within the body. We need it to metabolize our energy producing nutrients. I just talked about that. And cats require 4 times more than dogs. Yet one more reason why you cannot feed cats like they are little dogs. Because I'm not going to see the levels in the dog food that I need in the cat food. And if I don't have it, if I am deficient in this B complex, I develop a condition called ventral flexion. And basically what happens is it affects the muscles in the neck, cervical muscles. And this is ventral flexion. And they won't be able to hold their head up. I had a picture coming up. This ventral flexion can then progress as paralysis until it affects the respiratory tract and it will kill them. Yeah, death by B complex. Death by nutrition. So very important that cats need 4 times more than dogs, and they can present with ventral flexion. And again, everything that's highlighted is testable, and I do want you to know the name of the vitamin and its corresponding B number. In fact, I might even have something like a matching question. That would be a great idea. That would be great. Have you guys started looking at poo yet or not yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, so tech tip. You're all gonna be bringing in poop or getting poop from our animals downstairs. Are you going to see anything?
Maybe.
Probably, hopefully not, because all of our animals downstairs have been dewormed. Hopefully your animals are on some sort of heartworm prevention, which has a dewormer. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna give you the tip. Go out to where they walk the dogs, just go across the street to the apartments and go on a scavenger hunt for poo. Find some random scrap of poop. We have found some of the craziest parasites in the feces across the street. Roundworms and hookworms and whipworms, oh my. We saw Physoloptera once, which is insane. It has a vermiform embryo where it's a live larva inside the egg, and you can see the larva in the egg moving in there.
That's disgusting.
It's called a vermiform embryo. So yeah, your own animals, hopefully we're not seeing anything. Our animals downstairs, we're definitely not seeing anything. Take your little butts across the street, pick up some poo, because you'll find all sorts of stuff. Coccidia, tons of coccidia. So, and if you live across the apartments, be very vigilant at making sure your animal has its heartworm prevention, because they're going to get intestinal parasites. It's a cesspool over there.
I live in apartments back there, and I was walking my dog, and there was this big old chunk of like fresh poop, and it was black, like it looked burnt, and then there was like little things on it moving. It was super gross.
Oh, disgusting. That is super gross.
Miss Huff,
Yes.
I just had a question. So whenever you were in school studying for Lab Pro, how did you study for it?
For the parasites?
Yeah.
So here's the thing, when I was in school, we had a separate class for nothing but parasites. So we did an 8-week course of just parasitology, which was horrific, because where we here have broken it up for you guys, like you do some of your companion animals in Lab Pro, you'll do your equine parasites in equine, your food animal parasites in food animal. We did them all. And so you had to try and not only keep the different parasites, but also like straight in your mind, but you also had to be able to identify every species. So the equine ones like Strongyloides, your bovine ones like the tapeworm tinea, the swine, the pig ones, and it was all fill in the blank. So he would have an identification where he'd show us a slide, and we'd have to write it out, and it was either right or wrong. So if there was one letter wrong, it was wrong. There was no gimmies. And his favorite one to test us over, never forget it ever, was the thorny-headed worm of swine, Macrocantharhynchus hirudinaceus. I know. So really, it was repetition. Now I'm really gonna date myself. God, I feel like I'm freaking ancient.
Okay.
I do. I don't feel as old, except when I say stuff like this, and I'm like, holy crap, Huff, you are old. So there was no such thing as like PowerPoint. Right? There was no PowerPoint. So when we would learn identification, it was like a carousel of slides, like chromacone slides, Kodak slides, and then it would go to the next one. So I had this big video camera my dad had, like it wasn't like I could do videos on my phone. These weren't even a thing at that point. And so I went to and got the recorder. And so my two study partners and I would go to the library and check out the slide carousel. And we would project it onto the wall, and I would do a video recording of it, so that then we could go home and watch it on the TV and it was just repetition. The The one thing I do caution you over that kind of bit me in the butt, rather than truly identify the parasites, I found myself kind of identifying the picture overall. Like I was like, oh no, okay, I know that one is Paragonymous calicotti because there's this weird light in the background behind the egg. Or I knew that this was a Tinea dentata because the eggs lined up like teeth, dentata, like teeth. Problem is he didn't use any of those slides on the test. He used all different slides on the test. And because I had learned the background and not the parasite, I do very well on that test at all. So unfortunately, it's just repetition, repetition, repetition. That's all it is. Flashcards. Make yourself some Quizlets. Quizlet is amazing for that because then you can just be in the grocery. So unfortunately, I don't have a magic button for that.
I'm gonna
And
make a Quizlet.
yes, it just rolls off my tongue. But guys, I've been doing this longer than most of you have been alive. So it does. You just kind of know it. This is a picture of ventral flexion. So we're flexing towards the ventral.
And you said they can't lift it.
And they can't lift it. Mm-mm.
A weird question could be, like if you were to lift
Yeah, it's not that the muscles have
tightened or anything,
tightened.
it's just they
It's
don't-
kind of like, did you ever see the movie Death Becomes Her
No.
I think
with
I
Goldie
have.
Hawn
Oh, yes.
and who is
Oh,
it?
when
Meryl.
them ladies, they keep using their potion.
And yeah, it's a comedy. Bruce Willis is in it. And at one point, the two ladies get in a fight, and Goldie Hawn gets a shovel, and or Meryl Streep, one of them, and she's like holding her head up, and every time she let it go, that's what this is.
So they get that, they don't have enough of this for diamond?
Yeah, so if they are deficient,
Oh.
they're going to present with the ventral flexion. Riboflavin is B2. And as you can see, yes, it is needed for energy metabolism. That's across the board. That should be an unset. All of these energy or non-energy producing nutrients help us metabolize energy producing nutrients. But on this slide, you can see the only thing that I have highlighted is the name. It has to be just a given that across the board, whether it's highlighted or not, all of these help with energy metabolism. So in this case, you just need to know that riboflavin is B2. And its role in energy metabolism is why sometimes you'll see riboflavin added to those energy drinks that you have. The energy drinks, the riboflavin helps you to metabolize the adipose tissue, providing you with the energy that you need while you're drinking the drink. Niacin is B3, and it has a relationship to a disease called black tongue disease. It's also known as pellagra. Pellagra, it usually starts in the mouth, around the lips and the tongue, hence its name, black tongue disease. Causes the tissue to go necrotic, and then it starts to extend out to the cheeks. And in very advanced cases, it will come down the neck, onto the chest, into the hands, up to the elbows. And it just looks like black necrotic tissue. It's awful. I have a picture of it coming up. It's pretty disgusting. Now, dogs can synthesize niacin. Dogs can, cats cannot. Dogs can create niacin for themselves from the amino acid tryptophan. So as they are utilizing tryptophan, they can take that amino acid, and that's one of the ones where they can bippity boppity boop and reform it into this niacin. Cats cannot. Cats do need niacin in their diets. So deficiencies are very rare, especially in our dogs since they're creating it for themselves. But we can see that it does have this relationship to the pellagra. And then I have a picture of pellagra.
It's also where they lose their hair.
They can lose their hair, absolutely. Especially in the dogs because it is metabolized from an amino acid. So if I'm deficient in niacin, I must also be deficient in tryptophan, which tells me that I'm protein deficient, which would then cause me to have the alopecia. So everything is connected. Everything in nutrition is connected. Give you guys a minute. What sorts of things are you doing in intro?
Oh, like expressing anal glands.
Oh gosh, break out your tool.
Trimming nails, cleaning the ears. It's just grooming.
Grooming, fabulous.
It took forever with Shorty.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, is he a little bit wiggly?
No, he's like really like, he looks sick. He's old.
We
His
had-
skin is bad.
We had to use a muzzle.
Okay.
Harder to get out.
Oh, like the peanut butter anal glands?
They were gray. Yeah, but it didn't look brown, yeah.
It was like grayish.
Yeah.
We used a muzzle, and then at one point he just gave up.
Aww.
He just did it with that.
He just lost the will to live.
Yeah.
Are you guys doing external or internal?
Internal.
Good, good. That's the best one. Because it causes a lot less trauma to that poor tissue.
Ms. Huff, you got any little hints you can tell us? Like do's and don'ts? I'm kind of nervous about doing that anal gland stuff.
Oh no, don't be nervous. Keep your mouth closed.
Wearing my
Keep your
And
mouth
use
closed.
lube.
Pull your hair
Oh, yeah.
back.
Use lube, don't be.
Yeah, there's always time for lube.
Don't be stingy on your
Yeah.
Yeah, don't be stingy on the lube.
Not
Be
fine.
a gentleman about it.
Cut your nails.
And make sure your
Yeah.
fingernails are short.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
A
that
few
would
people come to the house to do it on my dogs. If anybody want to come, everybody welcome because I got 13 dogs. So if
But
anybody want to
honestly,
come,
once you get your finger in, you'll feel it. You just hook your thumb and you just milk it. Just milk it out.
Shorties was like so hard that Miss Martinez like had to do it because we couldn't.
Yeah, if it gets super thick, it's gonna be like peanut butter or toothpaste coming out of your toothpaste tube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was, like, so hard.
Martina showed us yesterday, it looked pretty gross.
It's
not that.
pretty infected.
Yeah, his was really bad.
That is pellagra. So you can see here, it's extended down to the chest. Here we have it in the armpits, axillary region, extending down the hands. And this is how it starts with that pellagra. Starts on the tongue and then starts extending at the face. Luckily, we don't see this very often. Deficiencies are pretty rare, especially in our dogs, because they do metabolize it for themselves from the tryptophan. Pyridoxine is B6. And I know the first question is, but Ms. Huff, what happened to B4 and B5? Well, there are B4 and B5, but not in our veterinary nutrition. We jump the required, needed, essential water-soluble vitamins are jump from B3 to B6. And just like I said, across the board, all of these are needed for metabolic reactions. You have to have the non-energy in order to use the energy. And so on this one, just like the last couple, all the thing I have highlighted is the name. Yeah, keep your mouth closed. That's my big tip. Been there, done that. Yeah, it went in my mouth and it's went all the way up the side of my face into my hair.
No, I would have just walked out.
Yeah, I was trying to, so I had my finger in and it was stuck, had a little plug. And and I went down like this to get a better vantage point. And it was right then that it right up the side of my face. Into my hair. Yeah, that's a smell that will stay with you for a few days. Yeah, it was pretty disgusting. Pretty disgusting. Pantothenic acid does not have a corresponding B letter. It just has the name pantothenic. And as I've said now 184 times, its role is just as the others to help metabolize energy producing nutrients. So energy metabolism. All right. Biotin. Now, biotin is kind of a wannabe. He doesn't really fit as a characteristic for a vitamin, but we don't really have anywhere else to put him. And so because he reacts and acts most like a vitamin, we allow him to be in this category. It is he does have to be broken down and recreated in the intestinal tract, very similar to our energy producing. And that's what causes him to not act like a true vitamin. We know that vitamins are organic compounds that are already in a manner that our bodies can use, except for biotin. Biotin we do have to convert into something that the body can use. Now, biotin is in a lot of our beauty products, like for your hair, your fingernails. If you're applying it on the outside, it's too late. You cannot affect change once it's here. So all you're doing, remember I had the canister of wax, and I had the piece of yarn, and we dipped it in the canister, and it made the yarn nice and silky smooth. But then what happened when I rolled the yarn up, it all broke off. That's exactly what's happening here on the outside. If I do take the biotin on the inside, if I take it nutritionally, then I'm affecting change on a cellular level. And there is a possibility that with raw egg whites, it will make the biotin unavailable. It binds with it and makes it that your body can't use it. So don't eat raw eggs. You shouldn't be anyway because of salmonella. But don't eat raw eggs. And it's also good to know that people that feed their animals raw eggs, this is also one more reason why, because it can make this particular B complex unavailable. And animals can still get salmonella just like us. Do not feed your dogs raw eggs.
But the people that do feed it will argue to the day they die that it's not bad for their dogs.
Yeah, but you know what? You can't argue with stupid.
Because I see a bunch on TikTok that cook all that raw
And they'll
stuff.
beat you with experience every time. So,
Yeah.
my rule of thumb is if it's something I myself would not eat, like a raw egg, raw beef, I'm not going to feed it to my animals.
But they put that in like protein
What?
shakes.
Eggs
Like I've
so
seen
sun.
a lot of
Sunny side up?
Yeah, there you go.
You don't
put it in like break eggs and put it in the protein shakes.
Oh my goodness gracious. So it also, I am going to make a small caveat. It also depends on the eggs. So if you're getting farm fresh eggs, Like you go out to the backyard and you move the chicken and get an egg, and then you could eat that raw with no problem. Very little problems. There's still a possibility. You've got to imagine, because here's a crazy thing. So I'm not a big egg eater. I usually keep them in the house just for, because I can. Because I'm an adult, and apparently it's required to have eggs in your fridge if you're an adult.
I love eggs.
I don't know.
You're gonna need it when you need that one recipe.
I know,
Yeah.
one recipe, or sometimes, for dinner I'll have some scrambled eggs.
Eggs are good.
But so when I have a good friend of mine who has a ranch and chickens, and so she would bring me eggs. You put those eggs in the fridge, and guess how long they'll last? Like 6 weeks. And I said to her, I said, okay, well, how do I know when they're expired? And she says, they'll throw them in the fridge and they'll stay for six to 8 weeks. I went, wait a minute, you mean days, right? No, weeks. I'm like, but the eggs at the grocery are like 10 days, right? How is that possible? This is why the eggs in the grocery you are such at risk for bacterial infections like salmonella. They harvest the eggs from the chicken, and then although eggs are good for 6 to 8 weeks, the time it takes them to be processed, packaged, transported, and on the shelf, you've got maybe 10 days left. Because it can take the majority of that time. So if they are not properly stored, if they're not properly temperature regulated, that's when you start getting the bacteria. So, yeah. So if you have farm fresh eggs, you can eat those raw all day long. I wouldn't, but you can. It's the eggs in the grocery that the temperature is fluctuated, and we now have the potential for that bacterial growth. So there you go. Get some chickens. You are allowed legally in Texas. There's a homesteader's law that supersedes your homeowners association law, that every family in Texas is allowed to have 3 chickens.
I have 2 in my room now. They went there for long. Yeah.
Wait, what? You have chickens in
No,
your
I
bedroom?
had some. They're dead now.
Did you eat them?
No, yeah, we did.
Nice.
You know, I mean, come on, they're chickens.
They're chickens.
Yeah.
We had to.
I didn't want them as pets.
No, they're gross.
Yeah.
They
They
just
are.
crap everywhere.
You literally made my day by telling me that no matter what anyone says, I can always own 3
Hang
chickens.
on. Zimmer, I didn't get that. What was that?
You made my day telling me that no matter what I'm told where I live, I can have 3 chickens. Like,
Yes. That is a Texas state law. It is a homesteader's law that you can have up to 3 chickens. Yeah. No matter where
So
you
my
live.
neighbor was crazy because she has chickens.
Even in an apartment?
No,
Really?
it's a homesteader, so you have to have land.
Texting my husband now that I need 3 chickens.
Yeah, look it up. Look it up. Now, your homeowners association is probably going to have a little bit of a squawking fight. They will probably start fining you and maybe take you to court. But legally in Texas, the homesteader law states that you can have up to 3 chickens on your property, regardless of where you live.
That's good.
So, yes.
Look at some chickens.
All right, we now skip all the way to B12, which is cobalamin. Cobalamin is found in animal products. It's one of the few vitamins that we find in animal products, not plant materials. That's kind of a huge distinction point that I'm probably going to test you over. And because cobalamin is only found in animal products, vegetarians do have to be supplemented with it. Because if you're not taking in the animal products, you're not getting the cobalamin. And the cobalamin has the metabolic reactions where it's helping you use the energy producing nutrients. So deficiencies of this are going to be the exact same as deficiencies in your energy producing nutrients weakness, fatigue, retarded growth, anemia because of the kidney function. So this is where you start seeing that domino effect. If I'm deficient in cobalamin, I can't utilize energy producing nutrients, and I start seeing the deficiencies that would be associated with that, like the fatty acid deficiency and its effect on the kidneys, protein deficiency and its effect on growth and maturation, carbohydrate deficiencies, you're going to have fatigue and lack of energy. Not that I am deficient nutritionally in those nutrients, but I can't use them because I'm deficient in this one cobalamin. Does that domino effect kind of make sense to everybody now? Good. And so vegetarians will need to be supplemented with this.
Is B12 in like eggs or milk?
So B12, I believe, like eggs and milk, and then they make synthetic supplements. It is a synthetic. It's not a natural cobalamin, because if you're a vegetarian and you can only, especially if you're like a vegan, you can't take any. That's a very prideful dance. You can't take in any animal products, but if this only comes from animals, you can't take it. So they do have a synthetic form that you can take. It does not metabolize as effectively in the body, but it's better than nothing.
Wonderful.
I know.
Do what?
No, Chloe. Well, she's not in class, but she's a vegan.
So I hope she's
That is, you know
Wow,
what?
just
And
call me
I-
out.
Yeah, they totally called you out, Chloe.
And you should be ashamed.
They
now.
totally called you out. No.
I know.
Honestly,
I think
I
that's
find
very-
that fascinating
that
because
is.
that takes such dedication. I just
I
don't
used to be vegan too for 4 years.
I just don't have that kind of dedication to anything. No.
I could see
You definitely
myself-
have to build up to it.
It's far too much work for me.
That's what I said, I was like, I just feel like I don't have the time for that.
I don't have the
Well,
time,
then
and I
just eat meat.
I don't care.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying, you
That's why
know,
I'm like, I do applaud those that can do it, because that's a lot.
I applaud completely because that is far, far, far more work than I'm willing to put into my own health and well-being.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't even like eat a gummy, like a Mike and Ike.
Yeah.
I love Mike and Ike's.
Yeah, it's pretty sad.
I know.
Gelatin comes from bone marrow.
Oh my
Gelatin
goodness.
is inside.
Ice
bunny
cream, cheese. Oh, I love cheese. I love cheese.
Yeah.
Have a nice charcuterie board.
But vegetarians eat cheese.
There's a lot of junk food though that is vegan.
There is, but no, I love, in fact, I'm very excited. Oh, we've got our Super Bowl. Sorry, guys, I don't know what the holy heck that happened. It's because I said the name of the devil.
Yes, you did.
I did. I said the name of the devil.
Who does he play for?
This was his first year with Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers,
But he was from the.
Patriots.
Okay. I was gonna be so wrong.
See, and I liked the Patriots before we even got there.
No, hard no. So
I just don't
we were hoping to have a Tom Brady free Super Bowl and it did not happen. So now I'm going for Kansas City all the way. Patrick Mahomes, just the most adorable little teddy bear of a thing you've ever seen in your life. He's so adorable.
Yeah, I think they showed me a picture and I was like, okay.
Yeah, he is just he's a good looking kid, but he's just adorable. He's adorable. So anyway, my whole point was Super Bowl, we always make a nice charcuterie. Do you know what I mean by a charcuterie?
Not
Yeah,
even
the
a little.
cheese and sausage.
Yeah, it's just a board of you get the different cheeses and the different types of meat. We'll get some nice summer sausage and some nice,
It sounds so delicious and
some
mouth-watering.
hard salami, get some nice, what is it? the very thin sliced prosciutto. We get a nice asparagus wrapped in prosciutto. Oh,
Really
This
good.
class, any class we take with you makes me so hungry.
I
With
know.
garlic cheese spread.
Thick stalks of asparagus. You wrap it in prosciutto, and then you bake it. Woo. But it's just I call it a nashi plate, where it's just like cheese and crackers and meats and stuff like that. But you put it in this.
Version of a lunch.
You put it in. It is the adult version of a Lunchable, but you put it on a very pleasing manner. It's called a charcuterie.
It's like a fancy Lunchable.
It's like a super duper fancy lunchable.
Yes, just look up charcuterie. All right, choline is broken down in the liver. This is another one of our complex, the vitamin complex. And again, that's all I'm asking you to know about this. And just as all our others, it is required for our metabolic reactions involving our energy producing nutrients.
Have you ever been to Taste of Texas?
I have.
Is it good?
It is good. It's not, I've been many, many times. It's not worth the wait.
It's not so bad now.
Well, I'm sure.
Now's the time to go.
A year ago in February, the weekend of Valentine's Day, an old high school friend of mine from Canada came and visited me for the weekend. And we were going to take him to Taste of Texas. They do not take reservations.
They do
They do
now.
now, yeah.
They don't, they didn't then. This is a year ago. This is pre-COVID.
Yeah.
And we drove up and there's, everyone's waiting. And I said, how long is the wait? 2.5 hours long. Now, it's good. It's not that good. So.
It's because I'm going there, I think, next weekend.
Oh, yeah. It's there. They have very, very good steaks.
I don't really like
Your
steak.
steak.
I love ribs, but not
You get to
steak.
pick your steak,
Mhm.
you tell them what you want, and then they go and they take you in
Oh.
the back, and they have them all out.
What
You get to
the
pick it.
Yeah. No, it's very good. It's
Yeah.
very, very good.
Mhm.
It's just not worth, in my
No,
opinion,
it's not
it's
worth-
not
I wouldn't
worth
wait
2.5 hours. It's not
Oh,
worth
yeah.
it.
I know, I'm not gonna wait.
So-
We went last year for our wedding anniversary.
Oh, that's nice.
If you're gonna spend that kind of money, I have my very favorite restaurant,
Where?
which is called Bistro Le Cep.
Bistro-
What is it, Eric?
Not nothing.
Bistro Le what?
Le Cep, CEP, Bistro Le Cep. It's just over here off of Westheimer and like Wilcrest area, Kirkwood. And it is my all-time favorite restaurant on the planet. Ever, if at my dying meal, I want to go to Bistro. And it's fabulous.
What do they serve there?
It's a French bistro.
Oh.
So they serve a little bit of everything. I always get the filet because it's fabulous. My significant other, though, he's kind of gone through the whole menu. They have wild boar, which is to die for. Duck, rabbit, a lot of different seafood, salmon,
Don't eat the rabbit.
steaks. They do have a nice, my dad's had the calf livers, which was quite good, he said. So it's a little bit of everything, but it's an event
We'll
to
try,
go.
we'll try a little bit of everything.
Anyway, vitamin C is also known as ascorbic acid. Ascorbic acid. Now, we do not need this in our cat and dog diet because there is a byproduct of them metabolizing glucose. So as I said, unlike us, where we do need it in our diet, dogs and cats do not. So this is not necessary to have. It does serve as an antioxidant. It is one of our biological antioxidants. And an antioxidant, does anyone remember what antioxidants stabilize?
Maybe, no.
Free radicals?
Radicals!
There you go.
Free radicals are created anytime you have any sort of cellular damage, which is all of the times. And free radicals, damage begets damage. So they're just gonna run around and they're just gonna cause more damage. And what an antioxidant does is it binds with the free radical, stops it from doing more damage so that our body can then get to work repairing on the damage that's been done. So vitamin C is one of our biological antioxidants. Oh, I go back, don't worry, don't worry. Any comments, questions, concerns so far? Everybody's okay? Fabulous. The next slide, I need you to not panic.
Yeah.
I will panic.
Don't.
Saw that it was a chart.
All right, that is a lot of words.
It's already now.
No. All right, so here's what we're going to be doing for the fat soluble vitamins. I love this chart so much, I want to marry it. I could have created another 40 slides to this PowerPoint. This one slide gives us every bit of information that we need in one convenient location. What I would recommend is that if you have it printed out, I would recommend for this slide only, print this out on a piece so that it's nice and big. If you have it on your computers, you'll be able to highlight it. What we are going to do is I am going to go through and see, look here, this is all of the information that I would normally have put on additional PowerPoint slides. The name of the vitamin, what does it do? What happens if I don't have it? What happens if I have too much? And so what we're going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to underline the information that I want you to know about each one of these vitamins. And that way, when you are studying, everything about your fat solubles will be in one slide. Everything will be right there. So we are going to just kind of go through and I'm going to underline the stuff that I want you to know. I am, however, going to start that on tomorrow. I don't want to start right now and then have to pick it up tomorrow. So we are going to start with our fat soluble vitamins tomorrow and we're going to go through this chart and I will let you know exactly what you will be responsible for knowing. Comments, questions, concerns? That'll also give you the opportunity if you want to print it out.
He wasn't there the first time we went.